Chapter 43 to 48. Currently, I'm eating food while Piccolo is meditating across from me. It's been a few days since me and Piccolo started training together, and it's been pretty effective for me, but that's because of the training clothes Nala made for me. A few things I have noticed by training with Piccolo are his battle smarts. Piccolo is great at fighting from a distance as well as in endurance battles. Another thing is his healing capabilities. I have seen other Namekians heal, but they are nowhere near Piccolo's. My healing capabilities are probably just below a Namekian's. I can heal quickly as long as I've eaten a lot of food, but I can't regrow severed limbs. Sage training with Piccolo isn't bad, but sadly, he isn't strong enough to hurt me. But I can sense that his strength has definitely improved, and his healing factor is ridiculous. Hasn't even been an hour since we stopped training and he has fully healed. Opening his eyes, Piccolo got up from his meditating position before sitting across from me. Piccolo dash, so why did you come to Earth? Sage dash, I was curious about who beat that weakling Frisia, and I heard from Jocko that there was a genius scientist that lives on this planet, and lucky me they both live here. Looking at him, he seemed slightly surprised when I mentioned Jocko. Piccolo dash, so then how long do you plan on staying here? Sage dash, TSK, does it matter? No one can make me leave anyways. Finished eating, I get up along with Piccolo, getting into fighting positions. We're about to start training again when we sensed Gohan's ki flying toward us. Turning our heads in the direction where he is coming from, we spot Gohan in the distance. A few seconds later, Gohan is next to both of us. Looking at Piccolo, he starts talking to him. Gohan dash, Piccolo, do you want to train with me and father? You can too, if you want, Sage. Before Piccolo could answer, I reply first. Sage dash, no, me and Piccolo are training together, so if you and Kakarot want to train with him, come over here. I have heard rumors that your mother is annoying. Getting a little frightened at my response, he nods his head before flying away. Gohan dash, okay, I will inform father then. Turning back Piccolo, we get back into fighting positions before charge at each other. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. I'm currently standing next to Nala and Bulma while the Z fighters are getting ready to search for the androids on Amenbo Island. Looking at Bulma holding baby Trunks in her arms, I smirk. Sage dash, tell me Bulma, how does it feel to know you were flirting with your own son? Bulma, hearing my question, looks at me before looking at Trunks and then back at me. Bulma dash, can we just forget that ever happened? Nala dash, nope, I'm definitely going to make sure you never forget about it. Me and Nala laugh while Bulma just sighs, when suddenly a ship exploded and crashed into the ground. Sage, it seems it's about time for the androids to arrive. Looking over at the Z fighters, I see they are ready and are already flying to look for the androids. Watching them leave, I call out to Piccolo before he flies away. Sage dash, you better not lose, or I'll kill you for wasting 3 years of training with you. Piccolo turns around and looks at me smirking. He replies. Piccolo dash, I won't. And with that, they leave to go and fight the androids. Turning to Nala, I ask her about the project she has been working on. Sage dash, Nala, have you finished your project yet? She replies with a happy face. Nala dash, yes. The project is complete, so that means we can finally have a child. Sage dash, whoever said I wanted to have a child with you? Hearing the project was related to children, Bulma got involved. Bulma dash, why don't you have children normally? Nala turns to her and tells her in a downcast voice. Nala dash, it's not that we don't want to, but we can't. Our species are far too different for a healthy child to be born, so I decided since I can't give birth to our child, I shall create one, of course with both of our DNA. Bulma dash, I'm sorry about that, but why didn't you ask for help? I'm sure it wouldn't have taken 3 years if I help you with it. Nala dash, I didn't want anyone else other than Sage to help me with the creation of my child. If you did help me, then I wouldn't have felt like I was their only mother. Bulma, listening to Nala's reason, nods in agreement with her. With the sad stuff out of the way, they both start talking about other things that I don't know about. Leaving them alone, I fly to where the battles has just recently started. I made sure to have Nala completely hide my ki with her runes, or I would have been noticed. Watching the battles play out a little bit differently than before, instead of only Kakarot fighting, Piccolo is also fighting, and they are both beating on the androids even with them being able to absorb their ki. Of course, that's until Kakarot's heart virus started acting up, causing him to slowly get overwhelmed by Android 19. Android 19 caught Kakarot and absorbed enough of his energy, causing him to revert to his base form, before kicking him out of the battle. Android 19 was about to go and help the severely damaged Dr. Gero, when Vegeta came out of nowhere slamming into Android 19, pushing him to the ground. Vegeta steps on his back, grabbing his arms before ripping them off. He throws the arms away before he clutches his head and rips it off as well, effectively killing him. Vegeta laughs after killing him before he rushes to Dr. Gero, kicking Piccolo away before he manages to kill him. Launching a ki blast at him, Dr. Gero uses his other remaining arm to absorb the attack, catching Vegeta off guard. Piccolo - damn it Vegeta, they can absorb ki. Vegeta - it doesn't matter, it won't make any difference. But before Vegeta can engage in a fight with him, Dr. Gero launches a ki blast at the ground, causing dust to fly everywhere and losing sight of Dr. Gero. Blowing the ki away, Vegeta doesn't spot Dr. Gero, which infuriates him. Looking around, he finds footprints heading in a different direction. Following them, he leaves everyone else behind, but they follow after him, with Gohan taking care of Kakarot. Sage nothing major has changed except for Piccolo being as strong as an SSJ Kakarot, which makes sense, he has been my train partner. Following the ki, Vegeta and I arrive just in time to see Trunks obliterate Dr. Gero's hideout. And flying out of the rubble, I see the iconic androids 17, 18, and 16 all unharmed. While waiting, I watch android 17 beat Vegeta and Trunks before they flew off. A couple of seconds later, Piccolo and Krillin arrive, and after finding them knocked out, they feed them a senzu bean. While they were about to fly off after the androids, the rubble from the destroyed base started moving, grabbing their attention. They look over only for an explosion to happen, blowing away all the rubble. Immediately flashing in front of them, I deactivate the concealing rune and stop suppressing my power. Piccolo - Sage, what are you doing? I thought you said you weren't going to interfere with the androids? Staring at where the base used to be with complete focus, I answered his question. Sage - I wasn't going to help you guys, even if you lost. But, my instincts are sensing danger coming from where the base used to be. Trunks - what do you mean? Those androids are the most dangerous beings right now. Ignoring Trunks, I push my ki to blow away all the dust. Finally able to see, I spot a pink woman with long white hair, a tail, and baggy white pants. She's wearing a tiny crop top with long sleeves, gold bracelets on each limb as well as one on her neck, and she has red eyes similar to mine. Seeing her, I immediately recognize her as Android 21. Sage, why is she here? TSK, doesn't matter, but if my memory is correct, 21 has the same DNA as Cell as well as Majin Buu's. But how does she have Majin cells? Isn't Buu still sealed? Snapping me out of my train of thought, 21 appears right in front of me, without me even seeing her movement. Sage, she's fast. 21 - from my data, it says that Goku is the best source of energy, but Goku can't even compare a 1/100 of you. I've decided you shall be the first person I turn into sweets. Hearing her talk about turning me into candy, I barely dodged a pink beam that shot from her tail. Sage - I suggest you guys leave if you don't want to die. Trunks - Sage is right, let's go and chase after the androids. With that, I sense everyone leaves except Piccolo, who hasn't left with the other Z fighters. Looking at him, I smirk before making fun of him. Sage - don't tell me you are worried about me? It seems someone got soft. Piccolo - don't die. Seeing him fly off, I turn back to 21, who was nice enough to let them leave. Smirking, I take off my bracers, letting them drop to the ground. The moment they do, my ki explodes outwards, shining like a red star in the night. The power coming off me was so great that the entire planet was shaking, and I'm sure every being in the galaxy could sense my ki. Seeing me release my ki, 21 did the same and released double the amount of power as me, but her ki was pink. It felt slightly evil, but there was also some gentle ki I could sense as well. Sensing her power put a giant smile on my face, so eager to battle after 3 years, I don't even get into a fighting position before I charge directly at her. Sage, this is going to be amazing. 21 - come entertain me before I turn you into sweets. Punching at her face, she doesn't even bother to move, which allows me to land a hit. Pulling my fist back, I look at her face to see what kind of damage I did to her, only to see the bruise I left on her face heal rapidly. 21 - that barely hurt, let me show you how to give a punch. The moment she said that, she vanished from her spot and appeared in front of me, aiming a punch right at my stomach. Barely managing to put my guard up in time, my arms are hit with a huge force before the impact of the attack flung me into a mountain. Stopping myself, I fly out of the hole with some blood coming off my arm. While flying to 21, I start laughing in joy. Sage, hahaha, how did I manage to survive 3 years without any fighting? Arriving in front of her, I start punching and kicking at her, but she either blocks or dodges the attacks, but I'm not the only one attacking. 21 will attack me randomly, and I barely have enough time to block. Blocking a kick with my arm, she uses her tail and wraps it around my leg. Pulling me closer to her, she punches me in the stomach, causing me to spit out blood, and then she kneed me in the face. Grabbing my head, she slammed me to the ground, before she flew into the sky and launched a massive key sphere at me. Getting out of the hole with blood on my face, I hurriedly put my arms up, catching the key sphere and barely stopping it. 21 - if you can stop one of them, can you two of them? After she said, she launched another key sphere, and when both key spheres came into contact, the first one absorbed the 2-1, causing it to get even bigger as well as stronger. Slowly getting pushed back, I strain my muscles with everything I have, and I finally managed to stop the key sphere. Right, when I was about to launch it to the sky, 21 flashed in front of me and kicked me in the stomach, spitting blood out my mouth. 21 - you really are superior to Goku, but how long can you last? When she said that, she wrapped her tail around my neck and was about to use my body as a punching bag. Smiling at her, I let go of the attack I was holding back and held on to her tail, not allowing her to fly away. Sage - I don't know, but you'll first have to survive this. Right, when the attack was about to engulf us, I kicked 21 to her own attack, and the moment she touched the key sphere, a huge explosion happened, injuring me even further, but luckily 21 took most of the attack. Sage, if I was hit with that, I would have been seriously injured. After everything settled down, I suddenly sensed 21's ki skyrocket to several times what it was before. Blowing away all the dust from the explosion, I spot 21 looking at me angrily with no injuries. 21 - I'm done playing with you, I will turn you into a cupcake and make your energy mine. Laughing at her claim, I use Akari, making my hair spike up and my body grow a few inches along with me gaining muscle mass. Looking at her, I get into a fighting position, while finally being able to let my full power loose after so long. Sage - you'll have to beat me first. While flying away from Sage's battle, we stop and turn around when we sense the massive amount of ki radiating off Sage. The power coming off him was so terrifying that the entire planet was shaking. Krillin - SS Sage was hiding his power all this time? Piccolo, you have spent the most time with him, did you know he was hiding his power? Piccolo - yeah, I did, but I never imagined he was this powerful. Trunks - how could someone this powerful exist? Vegeta - TSK. Piccolo - come on, we don't have time to be amazed by his power, we have our own job to do. As we were about to continue hunting the androids, we suddenly sensed an even more powerful ki coming from the same direction as Sage. The release of the ki was powerful enough to push us away even from such a far distance. After getting pushed a couple hundred meters, we were finally able to stand our ground again. Piccolo - damn, she is even stronger than Sage. Krillin - Sage should be fine though, if he's a Saiyan he should be able to transform into a Super Saiyan, right? Piccolo - you're right, Sage should be fine then. Let's continue with finding the other androids. Turning around, we notice Vegeta has already gone ahead of us. Following after him, we start searching for tracks of the androids while hoping Sage wins the battle. Underscore 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 underscore. Sage, she's too fast for any of my attacks to land on her, and even if they do, they will just heal back in a matter of seconds. Plus her attacks feel like a planet's hitting me. Dodging a kick from the back, she flashed in front of me and punches me in the face. Flinging me around, she flashed behind me and kicks me in the back, flinging me again. She kept kicking me around like I was a ball in a pinball machine. Getting kicked again, but this time I managed to grab a hold of her leg. Looking up, I open my mouth and use a fire breath. Closing my mouth, I was about to follow up with more attacks when her tail pierced through my stomach. Blood flowing out of the hole as well as coughing up blood, she brings me closer to her face and starts licking the blood off my face. 21 - you taste so good. How good will you taste when I turn you into sweets? Oh, I can't wait. Sage ** cough ** I'm currently in a relationship, so can you not lick me? Besides, I will continue fighting even if I were to die. 21 - you mean that woman named Nala? I'll make sure to torture her before killing you. From the data I have on Science, it says you guys get stronger the angrier you are, and if you're stronger then you will taste better. Listening to her talk about Nala like that made me angry, really angry. My ki started rising until it was a little below hers. Smiling cruelly, I grab her tail tightly before quickly ripping it off, causing her face to morph into agony before she clutches the remaining of her tail in pain. Holding her tail in my hand, I engulf it in a ki ball, slowly disintegrating it, right in front of her. Sage, is that the best you got, you crazy bitch? She didn't even bother answering before she charged right at me, launching several ki attacks. Receiving some damage from blocking most of them, I charge straight at her, forgetting the state my body is in. Throwing a punch at her, our fists collide mid-air, generating huge gusts of wind and destroying the ground every time our bodies collide. Blocking a punch, I got kneed in the hole in my stomach. Grunting, I barely dodged a roundhouse kick. Retaliating with another punch, she grabs my arm. Holding my arm, she elbows my arm, breaking the bones. Using my other arm, I attack with a galactic burst, making her let go of my arm and flash away from me. Not even checking my arm, I get back into a fighting position while smiling like a maniac. Underscore 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 Sage asterisk cough asterisk asterisk cough asterisk. I can do this all day. Right now, I'm being dangled from my neck with 21's tail that grew back during our fight. 21 looks exhausted, but other than that she is perfectly fine. On the other hand, I'm almost dead right now, tens of broken bones, low on blood, and a hole in my stomach. Sage, it's been a while since I have been this injured. The last time I can remember was when I asked Maruz for a battle, and maybe when I fought King Ice. 21 You are a pain to deal with, you know, but that's what makes the reward even more satisfying. While she was talking, I could sense several different key signatures coming this way. After a few seconds I spot most of the Z fighters except Gohan and Kakarot. Their expression looks terrible, but I guess that makes sense considering the strongest person they could consider an ally is currently dangling between life and death. 21 Lucky me, it seems I won't have to search the planet for you guys. Right when she pointed her finger at me and was about to zap me with some weird magical beam, she dropped me to the ground. Looking up at her, I saw her grabbing her head while talking and screaming, but the weird thing was how her voice would constantly change. 21 You bitch, stop trying to gain control. 21 Give me control of my body back. 21 No, this is my body too. We didn't do anything other than watch her, mainly because I couldn't and the ki being released from her was preventing the Z fighters from getting closer. This continued for a while before her body started morphing into a beautiful woman with light brown hair, blue and red high heels, a shirt that has blue and red patterned squares, black pants, glasses, and finally a white lab coat. After she finished transforming, she landed back on the ground with everyone but me still looking at her warily. She said something I could barely hear before she passed out. 21 I'm finally back in control. The Z fighters, seeing her fall to the ground, were about to attack her when I stopped them. Sage don't bother, you won't even be able to damage her. They must have forgotten about me because they quickly arrived in front of me except for Vegeta. Krillin kneels down and reaches inside his bag and pulls out a senzu bean, trying to feed it to me. Krillin Sage, take this, it's a senzu bean that'll completely heal you when you eat it. Sage first off, I can't move my body, secondly, I refuse. Krillin looks confused about why I wouldn't eat, so he tries forcing my mouth open to make me eat it. But sadly for him, even if I am heavily injured, I'm still stronger than him. Sage, I'm not eating that, I don't know if I will still get my Zenkai if I heal that quickly. After a minute of Krillin trying to force feed me the senzu bean, Piccolo informs him of my earrings ability. Piccolo just stop, you won't be able to feed him it. Press his earring, it will allow us to communicate with Nala, I'm sure she can help him. Hearing Piccolo expose my earring, I look at him and he has a smirk on his face. Noticing his torn clothes, I look at the other Z fighters and they all have torn or destroyed clothes as well. Sage it seems you guys meet up with the androids. Does your arm hurt, Vegeta? Hearing me bring up the androids, their face turns sour while Vegeta looks like he's about to start yelling before he just flies away. While that happened, Krillin had already activated my earring. A projection floated up right above me showing what looks like the inside of a spaceship, with Nala and Bulma sitting inside. Nala-oh Seiju, god damn it. I knew you were injured from the signals I got from our earrings, but to think it was this bad. Don't worry, we are already on the way, just wait a while. After Nala finished talking, the projection disappeared, and my earring returned to normal. After a couple of minutes, Nala and Bulma arrive in their spaceship. Opening the hatch, they come out and head over to my body. Standing over my body, Bulma scans my body with some device and starts reading out the current state of my body. Bulma-tens of broken bones, hole in the torso, high blood loss, damaged organs, and a lot of other things, but those are the most serious. How are you even alive, let alone conscious? Nala-ha, it's not his first time being this injured. Could one of you guys pick him up and bring him on the spaceship? There's a rejuvenation chamber on board, so just put him in there. After saying that, everyone starts walking back to the spaceship with Piccolo carrying me by my tail, which is really uncomfortable. When we're about to leave, Krillin reminds everyone about 21. Krillin-wait, what about the enemy Sage was fighting? Hearing him say that, all the Z fighters were about to leave the spaceship to go and bring her back, but I stopped them. Sage-she left, a while ago. Trunks-why didn't you say anything? Because, it would make no difference if she was here or not, you guys couldn't stop her anyways. He's right, if Sage couldn't beat her then we wouldn't be able to do anything as well. Agreeing with his logic, everyone sits down in a seat, while Piccolo puts me inside a rejuvenation chamber so I heal quicker. Once everyone's sitting down, the spaceship takes off. Bulma-, we're heading to Kame's house, so it might take a minute. Sage, that was the first time I've ever lost a battle. Sure, Mother has beaten me, and so has Meru's, but those fights were never life and death battles. It seems I haven't been training hard enough lately. I'll make sure to get my revenge on her. Sage, but 21 shouldn't even exist, yet at least. Majin Buu is still sealed, so how did Dr. Gero even get his cells? If I had to take a guess, I'm willing to bet that if 21 exists, so does Tawa and possibly Mira. Hell, I bet even the Supreme Kai of Time exists as well, and if they do I need to start training for real. About an hour later we arrive at our destination. Bulma and a few of the Z fighters leave for a while and then they come back with Gohan, Chi-Chi, and Anil Kakarot. Once everyone is ready, they start heading to what I assume is the lookout. While we were flying, Krillin started talking about my battle with 21. Krillin- when Sage was fighting, I never sensed him transform into a Super Saiyan. The only thing I sensed was ki similar to when Vegeta, Goku, or Gohan transformed into an Ozaru. Yeah, same for me. Gohan- I sensed their ki too. It was so massive that it was hard to comprehend, but I never did sense Sage transform. Trunks- Piccolo, you have spent the most time with him. Do you know why he didn't transform during the fight? Piccolo- I'm the same as you. Even though we trained together, I've never once seen him transform. As a matter of fact, I have never even heard him talk about Super Saiyan. While they were talking about the fight and why I couldn't transform, Nala slithered out of the cockpit when she heard them talking about me. Nala- what were you guys saying about Sage? Krillin- Nala. Perfect, you have been with him for a long time, do you know why I didn't transform into a Super Saiyan? Hearing Krillin's question, Nala smirks and looks over to me. Seeing her look at me like that, I know she is going to spill the beans about why I didn't transform. Sage- tisk. Nala- hee hee. The reason Sage didn't transform into a Super Saiyan is because he can't. Everyone who heard her looked at me surprised, even the ill Kakarot moved his head in my direction. Getting all the attention annoyed me, so I flared some of my ki, which worked, and everyone stopped staring. How can he not transform when he is already so powerful? Gohan- yeah, it doesn't make sense, father can't even compare to him even when he's transformed. So why couldn't he transform as well? Nala- don't look at me like that, I'm no Saiyan and I'm definitely not Sage. If you want to know so badly, ask Sage, although I doubt he will tell you because he still hasn't told me. And with that, the conversation about me slowly came to an end. Which was perfect, since I can sense two keys very close to us, and one of them is very similar to Piccolo's. Landing the spaceship on the lookout, everyone gets out but me. Seeing how I'm going to be alone for a while, I decide to go to sleep. It shouldn't take too long for me to fully heal, and I'll have to start training to gain control of all the sudden power I'll receive from my Zenkai. Sage, just you wait. 21, it'll only be a matter of time before I defeat you. Waking up from a great sleep, I check my body to see how much it has healed. Sage, fully healed? How long did I sleep for? Getting out of the rejuvenation chamber, I walk out of the spaceship and notice I'm no longer on the lookout, but instead I'm in a forest. Sensing Trunks' ki, I fly in his direction. In the air, I spot Trunks, Bulma, and Gohan, and both of them must have sensed my ki because they looked up in my direction. Gohan - Sage, you're awake. Once I land down next to them, Trunks starts talking and Bulma scans me with the same device as before. Trunks - it's good to know you're awake, Sage. How do you feel? Bulma - my scanner shows no injuries on his body. It seems you have been fully healed. Sage - I'm fine. So how long was I asleep? Gohan - about 10 hours. Nodding, I look at what they were inspecting before I arrived, and it's another time machine, except this one is broken and covered in moss. Sage, it seems Cell is going to appear in a few days. Maybe I should talk to Piccolo sooner than later. Sage - anyways, I have some things to do, so I'll leave you guys here. I suggest you guys take this matter seriously though. Trunks - we will. Flying to the lookout after giving them a hint about Cell, which they will probably need because if 21 exists, then Cell might be even stronger than what I remember. Arriving at the lookout, I walk around until I find Piccolo meditating. Interrupting his meditation, I grab him by the back of his neck and quickly fly to Nala's secret science base, with a screaming Namekian in tow. Piccolo - what the hell, Sage, I can fly on my own. And where are you taking me? Ignoring his screaming, I continue flying until we make it back to the spaceship me and Nala first arrived on Earth with. Letting go of a pissed Piccolo, he stands up and fixes his clothes before questioning B about what happened angrily. Piccolo - do you mind telling me what's going on? Sage - I'll tell you in a second, just follow me for now. Walking into the spaceship while Piccolo follows, I make it into Nala's science room. Looking around, I find the lock to her secret base. Taking my earring off, I put it into the lock. Once it's inside, it lets off a bright pink glow, almost blinding us, but once it's done we open our eyes to find a pink portal. Piccolo - what is this? Sage - it's Nala's secret base, now come on. Nala should already be inside. While walking through the portal, Piccolo questions the base. Piccolo - do you think you should be telling me about the secret base? Sage - it doesn't matter, only me and Nala have the key, and Nala created the base in another dimension, so good luck trying to break in. Walking to a set of giant doors, with thousands of runes engraved on them, I push open the door and walk inside. Looking around, I notice nothing has changed except for the giant glass cylinder tank with a whole bunch of machines and tubes connected to it. Piccolo - this is quite the base. Nala - thanks, it took several years for me to achieve this. Nala's voice comes from behind the giant cylinder glass tank. Slithering out from behind it, she is wearing a lab coat that also has hundreds of runes on it. Sage - I brought him like you asked, so do you mind telling me why you wanted him so badly? Piccolo - I would like to know as well. Nodding, Nala sits down in a chair specifically made for her body type and starts explaining. Nala - well, let me start from the beginning. The reason we came to Earth is 2 reasons. The first one is because we were curious about who managed to defeat Frieza, and the main reason is because I got word from Jocko that there exists a super genius who could help me with my project. Nala - the project I was working on was to figure out how to perfectly combine 2 very different species' DNA with no drawbacks, and after 3 years I have finally managed to succeed in creating a machine that does exactly that. But the problem is I have never tested it, and that's where you come in. Piccolo - if you want me to be your guinea pig, then I'm going to have to refuse. After giving the reply, Piccolo turns around and tries to leave. Obviously, I stopped him before he left. Sage - tsk, at least wait until she is done explaining. Nala - allow me to explain in more detail. Accepting this would give you the cells of a Saiyan and a Frost Demon, which would not only increase your power but significantly increase your potential. Piccolo - as tempting as it sounds, I do not like receiving power that I did not earn, besides it sounds sketchy to receive power for free. Nala - well, it's not free per se. Remember when I said I never tested it? Well, I kinda lied. I have tested it on different animals, but they have all died in the middle of the experiment, and the reason for that is that their bodies are not capable of healing quickly enough, even with external help. That's why I asked you, as a special Namekian, your healing capabilities are the highest by far I have ever encountered. Nala - and if that doesn't make you feel as if you've earned it. The process is incredibly painful. I'm sure you could imagine how painful it would be for your very DNA to change. That is everything I have to say, so if you still don't wish to accept that's fine, just know the option will always be available. After saying her piece, Piccolo looks between her and the giant glass cylinder tank, before he gives her response. Piccolo dash as much as I'm tempted, I would prefer not to. Nala dash ha, that's fine. Thanks for talking though. Before he could leave I called out to him. Sage dash are you sure, what about Trunks, Gohan, Vegeta, or even Kakarot? Piccolo dash what do you mean by that? Sage dash I can sense it in you, the competitiveness to surpass your old rival Kakarot, so as a Saiyan let me give you first-hand advice. You'll never be able to surpass them, even if you fuse back with your other half. You'll only momentarily surpass them before they surpass you again, and this time by far more than before, and the gap will only keep getting bigger. Seeing Piccolo stop and listen to me, I let my words sink in before giving him even more reason to accept Nala's proposal. Sage dash let's say you give up your competitiveness against the Saiyans, and accept you'll forever be weaker than them. What about when that woman I fought against comes back when I'm not here? What about all the other powerful people in the universe? What if they decide to come and attack Earth? Are you just going to have the Saiyans protect you while you hide because you're too weak to do anything? That's not like you, Piccolo, so before you leave and fuse with your other half, think about what I said. Because they're not just stuff I made up, there are definitely people in this universe who are more powerful than me or even that woman from before. Leaning against the wall, I watch how Piccolo is seriously thinking about my words. Several minutes later, Piccolo turns back around, walks up to Nala, and accepts. Piccolo dash damn it. Let's do the damn experiment. The moment Nala hears Piccolo accept the experiment, she gets super excited and jumps up from her seat hugging Piccolo. Nala dash, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me. If you manage to survive the experiment, all the time I spent making this wasn't a waste. Piccolo dash TSK, can you let go of me, I'm not comfortable. Letting go of him, Piccolo and I watch as Nala gets everything set up. Once she's finished, she starts explaining the procedure to Piccolo. Nala dash so I will inject the DNA of Goku and Frieza into your DNA, but we will use your body as the base so your appearance won't change much. But since we're using your body as the base you won't get the full capabilities of both races, but I'm sure it'll be more than enough for you. Saying that she grabbed 2 small glass tubes and set them into a machine that will inject them into the DNA fusion inhibitor. Once that's done, she urges Piccolo to take off his clothes and step into the machine. Piccolo dash that's fine, I would prefer to have as few changes to my appearance if possible. Also, how did you acquire Goku's blood? Sage dash don't you remember all the times we trained with him? I would quickly collect some of his blood during training, and since I'm far stronger than everyone you guys never even noticed. Once inside the DNA fusion inhibitor, Nala starts strapping him up with leather buckles. Once finished, she closes the hatch and seals it tightly. Piccolo dash I can't circulate my ki, what happened? Nala dash those straps have runes I engraved on them, I made sure they were strong enough that even Sage would have a hard time breaking out of those. They also disrupt the ki inside the body of whoever is touching it, making it almost impossible to use ki. I told you it's going to be an extremely painful experience, and I can't have you destroying the machine in the middle of the procedure. Nala starts fiddling around on the control panel, pressing a lot of buttons and turning several dials. Inside the machine where Piccolo's at, green liquid slowly fills up the tank, causing Piccolo to hold his breath once the tank is completely filled. Nala dash you don't need to hold your breath, that's the same liquid used in the rejuvenation chamber, but Bulma has improved it to allow breath even when submerged inside it. Tensed, he opens his mouth and breathes in the liquid, but after a while, he calms down. After a few minutes have passed, Nala injects the blood samples into the machine with Piccolo, causing the green liquid to get slightly darker. Once the blood has been completely mixed with the green liquid, Nala gives Piccolo one last warning before activating the machine. Nala dash Piccolo, this is your last chance to stop. Once I press this button, there will be no stopping or you will die, understand? Walking next to Nala, we both see his determined face before he gives us a nod. Seeing the approval, Nala pressed the button. Nala dash good luck Piccolo, try your best to not pass out. The moment she pressed the button, lightning started appearing all over the edge of the DNA fusion inhibitor, and they all slowly congregated to the center where Piccolo resides. Not hearing anything for a while, I was about to ask Nala if something was wrong when a blood-curdling scream erupted from the machine. It was so terrifying that it caused both me and Nala to flinch. Piccolo dash H. Hearing Piccolo let out a scream like that honestly made me feel uncomfortable, because after training together for so long I've come to see Piccolo somewhat as a friend, and hearing a friend let out a scream in such pain and me doing nothing about it, did not sit well with me. Tensing my muscles, I unconsciously let my ki leak a little. Feeling a hand on my shoulder, I look over and see Nala looking at me with concern in her eyes. Nala - if Piccolo is tough as you've told me, then he will survive, so calm down and gain control of your ki. Can't have you accidentally destroying the place. Hearing her, I finally realize that not only have I been leaking my ki, but my muscles have also been tensed as well. Listening to Nala's advice, I calm down and reel my ki back in. Sage - thanks Nala. Nodding her head, we look back at the DNA fusion emitter being completely engulfed in lightning now. After a few minutes, Piccolo's screaming has stopped, but I think it's just because his vocal cords are being reconstructed. Several hours later, the machine has finally stopped along with all the lighting disappearing as well. Walking to the machine, I hurriedly rip off the hatch, allowing all the liquid to spill out onto my body as well as the floor. Quickly catching Piccolo before he falls to the ground, I carry him over to a big device that Nala points me to. Setting him down, the machine starts automatically scanning him. About a minute later it stops and Nala looks at the results. Nala - blah 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 blah, his body is alive. The machine worked, yes. Hearing Nala yell, he's alive, finally allowed me to calm down and release a sigh. Sitting down in a chair, I ask Nala for more information. Sage - so just because his body is alive doesn't mean the procedure was a success. So do you mind explaining it to me? Nala - the results from the scan show me that Saiyan and Frost Demon's DNA has perfectly merged with his Namekian DNA. The only downside is, like I said earlier, since I used his DNA as a base, he won't get the full benefits of each race, but his potential should still technically be higher than a Saiyan's, Frost Demon's, and a Namekian's. Sage - I guess that's good, so has his strength increased at all? Nala - let me see. Before the procedure, his power level was at about 200 million, and the scan I just did says his power level is about 1 billion. So his power has increased by a lot. Nodding at her, I look over to Piccolo and notice that the only change to his appearance is his head. Instead of antennas, he has black horns that point to the sky. They aren't big, but they aren't small either. Sage - I'm sure Piccolo will be happy to know that's the only thing that's changed about him. Standing up, I give my farewells before leaving Nala's secret base. Sage - since Piccolo is fine, I'll leave you with him. I'll go outside and make sure that woman doesn't go on a rampage. Nala - okay, but be careful, I don't want to see you almost dead again. Sage - don't worry, that fight gave me a massive Zenkai, I'll kill her next time. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips, Yami Tancho, Harold's Martinsons. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.